Airshim is unfortunately on the rise, but Cerebro is still holding its own, and Victoria Hand Enjoyers might have gotten a new toy with this week's card release. Let's go ahead and dive on into our best decks roundup for Marvel Snap. We kick off my Jeff's picks this week with my most successful Ancient One deck list that helped me climb a bit through the 90s on the ranked ladder. The Ancient One skill allows you to copy the ongoing effect of one of your cards in its lane onto all the other cards there, letting you get 3 Victoria hands for the price of 1, or taking Mr. Fantastic and allowing him to add 9 points to each side of the board. If you add a copy of Moonstone into the mix as well, your triple up can become a 6 tuplet to add absolutely massive stats that your opponent's going to have a hard time keeping up with. We mix in Luke Cage as not only a piece of tech, but also a tool that allows Anti-Venom to make one of our cards free, adding a big amount of cube equity at the end of everything. My second Jeff's pick is a Daredevil control deck featuring Supergiant and tools such as Hydra Bob and Makari that allow you to play for priority early, allowing you to get a maximum amount of value out of cards like Rocket and Groot, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Cosmo that can punish your opponent when your cards are flipping up first. If you're interested in a deck list that can get some pretty decisive win and clean up lots of 1, 2, and 4 cube victories by locking your opponent out in a fairly deterministic manner, this deck list is a great one to be doing that with. My last Jeff's pick this week is this Fenris Wolf Silver Surfer variation that I had a ton of success with last season that I've also been climbing with in this one. I was really impressed with Prodigy in this deck list the more I've played with it. In some of your games, it's doubling up your Silver Surfer. In others, it's copying Captain Carter. And in more still, it can even give you extra copies of Galacta or even Teenage Warhead, who you could duplicate after she's already blown up, destroying an additional card in a lane that your opponent thinks they've already cleared her effect out of. Cards like Sam Wilson Captain America, as well as Fenris Wolf, allowing you to put multiple bodies into lanes with flexible timing, really lets Prodigy shine in how he's able to copy things that your opponent's not going to be expecting. Fenris Wolf really kind of ties the room together past this as an additional way to get stats on the board, having clean synergy with our Gladiator, Killmonger, and Warhead. The thing that's impressed me the most about this build is just how frequently it's able to eke out wins, even when Silver Surfer is nowhere to be found, since Galacta, Fenris Wolf, and others get you points on the board in different manners. Before we get to the high potential category, I'd just like to give a quick shout out to Into the AM. They're one of the longtime sponsors of my content. They make all these awesome graphic shirts you always see me wearing. They've got a sale going on through the end of June for up to 80% off of select products in their premium clothing and graphic t-shirts offering. You can use my link and the Hoaglandia code in the video description down below to get a little bit extra off on top of that. It's a great way to pick up something that can allow you to express your style while also feeling comfortable and great, while also supporting what I do here. We kick off our high potential category, i.e. deck lists that have promising stats, albeit in smaller sample sizes so far, on the Untapped tracker with Merlin, Werewolf by Night. These two cards are a pretty potent synergy. All of Merlin's skills are 1 energy on reveal effects that banish themselves, which gives you the flexibility to jump Werewolf by Night into a location that otherwise has 3 cards. One of Merlin's skills also shuffles away a card in its lane, letting you free up even more space for Werewolf to move around the board later on. This deck lists top end, Sentry, as well as the Nihilist, an additional way to put stats into play, but also as a card that puts negative point things out, which are good with Merlin's Polymorph as well as Once and Future. You round things out with a couple of potent tech cards with Shang-Chi and Enchantress that can interact with your opponent, while also getting discounted by your copies of Zabu and Surge to be extra efficient at a cheaper energy cost. Our second high potential deck list is another variation of Merlin alongside the Zabu tech card packages to interact, but this one is leveraging Gwenpool, Sasquatch, and Mysterio as their way to get stats on the board. Gwenpool alongside Mysterio has some pretty potent synergy. Every one of Gwenpool's bonuses that lands on Mysterio not only buffs the original, but also the clones as well. So for example, if Gwenpool lands on Mysterio twice, the real Mysterio will be 8, while each of the clones will be 4. Gwenpool also does not conflict with Merlin at all because her pluses can only target character cards, meaning the spells that he has in your hand are not targets for her plus 2s that would otherwise be wasted. Moving along to our top performing category, we have deck lists that have good stats on the public tracker right now and also have a proven track record of being successful in Marvel Snap in larger sample sizes. We kick off this grouping with a Spice Rack variation featuring Merlin as one of its inclusions. I think he feels like a pretty natural fit here. You have bodies from things like Bast and Hood that you don't mind polymorphing or trading in for energy in the future. This can allow you to play out Havoc a little bit more aggressively and not get as punished for it. And his flow of one energy plays allow you to trigger Athena, consistently getting her +3 bonus every single turn. If you're missing Merlin as a free-to-play player, he's definitely not necessary to play this deck. In the past, it's played Kate Bishop in a slot and still had plenty of success. The 5-card Kitty Pryde, Angela, Elsa Bloodstone, Hope Summers, Galacta package wraps up in a number of different varieties, with this build featuring Zabu and Surge filling in the details with a couple of tech cards, as well as Kate Bishop and Jeff as additional cheap things to trigger Angela and fill out board space for Elsa, consistently being a top performer since Surge was added to the game. This deck list is a pretty fine mix of your ability to take stats and spread them out in a way that's difficult for your opponent to predict at the end of the game, as well as the potent tech in Shang-Chi and Enchantress that a number of successful decks are running right now to break up anyone that's going to be over the top of the numbers that you're able to produce yourself. Cerebro variations are making the jump from high potential to top performing as they put up solid stats in larger sample sizes for coming up on a second week in a row. These 12 cards on your screen are my preferred for Cerebro 2. I've been finding a lot of success with them. You'll note that we've got a new addition in Mercury here. The movement matchup is one that can actually be more challenging for Cerebro 2 in my experience, since their ability to finesse around the board can often get them around your lockout pieces of Goose and Storm, and Mercury telling them to sit down goes a long way. She also notably dodges Killmonger, which Nightcrawler that I'd previously been playing in that slot didn't do, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility to get around the board while also disrupting some of the things your opponents are going to be doing. Blue Marvel is one card I would like to call out as being consistently present in the better performing Cerebro 2 deck list. Some folks have moved away from him due to the prevalence of Enchantress, as you've seen in other deck lists, but when you're playing into someone who's likely playing Enchantress, you should be a little bit more conservative with how you play him out. One of the better sequencing things you can do is prioritize Storming on 4, so you can hide Blue Marvel in her path on turn 5, safe away from opposing tech. Cerebro 3 is also putting up some solid results with these 12 cards. I actually got a chance to play these on my live stream this week, so keep an eye out for a highlight of that on the daily deck highlights linked in the video description down below over the weekend, and I was really impressed with it. You have so many powerful disruptive cards here. Mobius, Luke Cage, and Red Guardian, all very capable of winning games on their own in a variety of matchups, and you have so much powerful location variance control with both Quake and Scarlet Witch, allowing you to get out of sticky situations, and in Quake's case, sometimes win the game on the spot if you have priority and make a good read. Bast definitely ties the room together for one of the things that makes Cerebro 3 quite powerful, because she can set your namesake as well as Mystique to having 3 points of power, allowing you to get massive stats in 2 lanes. With Cerebro now giving +3 as a bonus, when you double it up, each of your cards is worth 9, which is incredibly difficult for a lot of things to keep up with in tandem with the disruption that this deck is pumping out. This Wiccan Fenris Wolf variation featuring the Mercury Cannonball package, which guaranteed destroys your opponent's highest power cards since Mercury locks them from moving, had a smaller sample size last week, but has continued to grow into one of the more popular decks on the Untapped tracker so far and in my anecdotal experience, while also maintaining pretty solid metrics, putting it into the mixed category of both most popular and top performing for this week. Merlin is a second Kate Bishop-esque card for this deck, providing you with a clean 2 energy play, while also providing a steady stream of cheap cards in your hand to allow you to continue to fill out your energy so you can enable Wiccan consistently. If you like breaking your opponent's things consistently every game, this deck is excellent at doing that between Shang-Chi, Cannonball, and Warhead, and then you get to profit from it, bringing back whatever the biggest thing you broke with your Fenris Wolf. Last and certainly the least exciting and most groan-inducing, the 34-card Thanos Airishim Agamotto deck list that won the Golden Gauntlet 2 tournament last weekend was unfortunately not a flash in the pan and has been increasing in popularity while simultaneously maintaining some of the best stats the Untapped tracker has had so far. It's just a bunch of really high variance stuff with the most powerful tech cards and on-rate stats from things like Galacta that Marvel Snap has to offer. If you want to play 34 card Monty instead of playing Marvel Snap, this deck list is definitely powerful, although you're going to make your opponent sigh a lot, but perhaps you're into that sort of thing. The metagame is definitely solidifying a little bit, but I'm still having a ton of fun exploring all the things Merlin has to offer. He's definitely a new mainstay in a number of deck lists alongside Nico Minar and Hood, which are two of my personally favorite cards. It's also fantastic to have Cerebro as a tool I can reach for again in my toolbox. Cerebro 2 was for a long time my comfort pick deck when I couldn't find anything else I was enjoying, and it's awesome to be able to load that up on the ladder and not be completely embarrassed while doing so. I would love to hear in the comments down below what you've been having success and more importantly having fun with while playing Marvel Snap. I'd also love to give one more shout out to my longtime sponsor Into the AM. Be sure to check them out for awesome graphic shirts like what I'm wearing here and in the ticker, as well as other fantastic premium clothing while they're having their sale now through the end of June. You can find my link to support my content while doing that in the video description down below. As always, I appreciate everybody that made it all the way through the end of the video and hope your next snap pack is an excellent one.